author says that if in the future an archaeologist were rummaging around in the ground looking for signs of a previous civilization, he would find 3 artifacts which would give him clues to how we lived: a pin, a clock, and a gun. The pin represents specialization. At one time, 1 or 2 or a few individuals made a whole piece of equipment or machinery. And with the industrial age, we understood that efficiency demanded that a whole factory should be built around the production of pieces which were later put together. And so the pin, which is very important to industrial machinery, becomes a symbol of this specialization and efficiency. But what's happened then to people who have spent their whole life working at something, working at making pins, who spent their whole education learning how to make a pin? What happens to these people when the rate of change begins to accelerate? And instead of having 1 career in a lifetime, we begin to think of 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 careers, not to mention 5 and 10 and 15 and 20 job changes. These people have been lashed to ice floes, which are destined to thaw. So we have to think differently. Specialization is no longer good enough. Secondly, the clock. Clock represents regimentation. The clock is something that everybody follows. You come to work at 7 or 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning and you leave at such and such a time. And after a while, it becomes less and less important what you do and how you feel about what you do than about the time you put in and how you observe the clock. And you are judged according to that. And if you think about children in school, I think a very interesting example. You know, in America today, only 6% of the population has read at least 1 book a year. 6% of the population in the wealthiest country in the world. That's because children have learned in school that learning is something you do in clock time, school time, certain seasons, certain days, certain hours. And then when you're out of school, that's the time you don't have to learn. You can start having fun, especially since learning is associated with pain. So the clock symbolizes the regimentation, the mechanical regimentation of life. And the third thing is the gun. And the gun represents force. And during the industrial period, force is the way you got things done. Force is how you persuaded the next guy, the next country, to do things. But the result of all of this force, all of this arms production, is that now everybody has a gun. And now everybody can force everybody to do everything. And so everybody can kill everybody, and isn't that wonderful? So force doesn't work anymore. Besides, people are a little smarter. So we're trying to understand different kinds of motivation other than force. Because it doesn't work with people who are informed. And the third wave has brought, with the microchip, the information revolution. And everybody today thinks he's a somebody, even if he's a nobody. So you have to use a little psychology.